The chandeliers dripped with light like melting stars, scattering diamonds across the polished marble floor. The grand ballroom was alive. Golden laughter, whispered gossip, champagne bubbles rising like dreams that never ended. Every eye was drawn toward the center of the room, where Eleanor Grace, the billionaire's fiancée, floated in her silver gown, her hand delicately resting on the arm of Nathaniel Cole, the kind of man whose name built skyscrapers and whose smile could own a room. Cameras flashed, violins sang, and the world seemed perfect until it wasn't, because in the middle of her radiant smile, Eleanor froze. Her hand went limp, her lips trembled, and the laughter around her thinned into something awkward and confused. At the far end of the ballroom, among waiters and guards, stood a man no one recognized, plain shirt, worn boots, and a faded jacket clutched in his calloused hands. He didn't belong there. He looked like a ghost who had taken a wrong turn into someone else's dream. Then he said it, soft but steady, every syllable cutting through the gold and glass like truth breaking through illusion. "She's with me." The orchestra died. The room went still. Glasses stopped midair. And in that suspended silence, 100 rich faces turned toward the man who had just shattered the illusion of perfection. Movie camera, before we go deeper, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your one click helps spread stories that remind the world of humanity. That Eleanor's breath caught in her throat. 6 years of carefully built walls crumbled in a second. That voice, she knew it. It was the same voice that once whispered promises under the stars, the same voice that used to hum lullabies to a baby girl who would never know her father's arms. The same voice she'd left behind when the world told her she had to choose between love and survival. His name was Adam Walker, once a mechanic, once a dreamer, once hers if he hadn't come for revenge. He hadn't come to make a scene. He had come because a truth too long buried had clawed its way to the surface. 6 years ago, when life was harder than it should be, Adam had been an honest man trying to build something real. Eleanor had been the daughter of his boss, a young woman with fire in her heart and softness in her eyes. They'd fallen in love quietly, deeply, completely. But love was a dangerous thing when you belonged to two different worlds. When her father found out, Adam was humiliated, accused of using her for money. He was fired, blacklisted, and publicly disgraced. Eleanor had tried to fight for him, but the weight of her father's empire crushed her courage. She left him, not because she wanted to, but because she believed she had to. 2 months later, Adam learned she was pregnant. He never told her. When their daughter, Lily, was born, he promised to raise her with the kind of love that didn't need wealth or status to be strong. He worked double shifts, skipped meals, and read bedtime stories with grease-stained fingers. Lily was his world, his reason, his strength. But when she grew sick, a rare heart condition, his world began to crack. That he wrote to Eleanor once. The letter was returned unopened, and so he kept his silence, until today, the night before the gala. He'd seen the headline, "Eleanor Grace to marry billionaire Nathaniel Cole." There she was, smiling, radiant, seemingly untouched by the past. But it wasn't jealousy that brought him here. It was something else. Something heavier. Lily's condition had worsened. She needed a surgery that Adam couldn't afford. And in the dusty box of old memories, he found something that changed everything. An old engagement photo of Eleanor and him, back when love still meant forever. Behind it was a note she'd once written. "If ever you need me, I'll be there." So he came, not to destroy her, but to remind her of the truth she'd buried. Back in the ballroom, Nathaniel stepped forward, his voice icy with control. "Who are you?" he demanded. The guests watched, hungry for scandal. Adam's hands tightened around the old jacket. It was Lily's, the one Eleanor had sewn years ago, before she left. "I'm no one important," Adam said quietly. "Just a man who made a promise to protect what's his." He looked at Eleanor then, and something in her eyes broke. In that moment, the years between them vanished. The laughter, the heartbreak, the silence. She took a step forward, trembling. "Adam," he nodded, his voice rough. "I didn't come to cause trouble. I just thought you should know she's sick. Our daughter. And she needs you." The words struck harder than any slap. The crowd gasped. Nathaniel's face drained of color. But Eleanor didn't hear them. She heard only one word echoing in her mind. "Daughter." The room blurred. The chandeliers dimmed. She rushed forward, tears spilling freely now, her perfect life unraveling at the seams. Our daughter. Adam's eyes glistened, and for the first time, he looked small, not weak, but human. Her name's Lily, he said softly. She's 6. She's got your eyes. He held out the jacket, tiny, faded pink, with a broken zipper. You made this. Eleanor's trembling fingers brushed the fabric, and memories came rushing back. The smell of motor oil, the sound of laughter, the warmth of his hands on hers. She'd thought that life was gone forever, but it had been waiting for her all along, in the shape of a child she'd never met. The silence in the ballroom was suffocating. Nathaniel looked at Eleanor, confusion and anger mixing in his eyes. You never told me, but she didn't answer. She couldn't. Her world had tilted too far. Without another word, she turned and walked out with Adam. Cameras flashed, people whispered, and the gold of the ballroom faded behind them. Outside, in the cold night air, they stood under the city lights. Two people who had lost everything but still shared the one thing that mattered most. Adam's voice broke the silence. She's in the hospital. I didn't know where else to go. Eleanor looked at him, really looked at him. The wrinkles around his eyes, the tired strength in his shoulders. He wasn't the boy she remembered. He was something greater, a man who had carried love through storms without ever asking for anything back. They drove in silence, both lost in memories. When they reached the hospital, Lily was asleep, her tiny chest rising and falling beneath the monitor's soft beeps. Eleanor's tears didn't stop as she touched her daughter's hand for the first time. The little girl stirred and blinked up at her. Daddy, she whispered. Adam smiled gently. It's okay, sweetheart. This is someone who loves you very much. Eleanor bent down, unable to speak. Lily smiled faintly. You smell nice, she murmured before drifting back to sleep. Hours passed. Eleanor sat beside Adam, watching the small heartbeat on the monitor, the rhythm of forgiveness. Why didn't you tell me? She finally asked. Adam sighed. You had your life. I didn't want to ruin it. But when she got sick, I couldn't keep pretending. You deserve to know. She deserved to know. Eleanor covered her face with her hands, sobbing silently. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought leaving you would protect you. But I lost everything that mattered. Adam reached over, his voice low. You didn't lose everything. She's still here. And maybe, so are we. For the first time in years, she smiled, fragile, real. And in that small, fragile smile, the walls between them finally fell. Weeks later, Lily's surgery was successful. Eleanor stayed by her side through every step, refusing to leave. Nathaniel tried to reach out once, but she didn't answer. Her old life no longer fit. She had found something money couldn't buy: redemption, family, and a love that never truly died. Months later, at a small park near their old neighborhood, Lily ran between them laughing, her heart strong again. Adam watched her chase the sun while Eleanor leaned against him quietly. She's amazing, she whispered. She's you, he said softly. No, she smiled. She's us. The wind carried laughter again, not the cold laughter of the ballroom, but warm, honest joy. A love rebuilt not on wealth, but on truth. And as the sun dipped low, Adam whispered the words he'd once buried deep inside. You're home now. Clapperboard if this story touched your heart. Please like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us tell stories that remind the world that real strength isn't loud. It's love that stands even when the world walks away.